guys, and welcome back to our channel. It's been a little bit since I've made an educational video, but today I'm going to be talking about how many ferrets you should have. It's a little bit of a controversial subject, and I just wanted to talk about it a little bit with you guys because it is a common question that I see in the ferret world. Before we start, I wanted to remind you guys that our Halloween contest, the one that I'm doing with Sam from My Funky Ferrets, is still open up until Halloween day. So make sure you go watch my contest video to learn about the rules, prizes, and all that great stuff. And just a reminder, I do have a merch store where you can purchase my brand new digital book, Feeding Ferrets Naturally, and the link for that will be below. And I now have 3 Instagram accounts now. I have the Pup and Polecat, which is just for general ferret and raw diet posts. I have one for Gen, and then I also have one for my new horse, Iro. So today we're going to be looking at the facts, the evidence, all of what's out there on the subject of how many ferrets you should have. How many ferrets is too many ferrets? We'll also be talking about that a little bit later in the video. To be quite honest, there is not much scientific evidence out there that suggests ferrets require a certain amount of companions or they don't. So a lot of it is just how they were bred, so basically their history, as well as anecdotal stories from ferret owners all over the world. So contrary to popular belief by people who don't really know much about ferrets, is ferrets are not wild animals. They are actually a product of the hunting industry. So back in the day, they were bred to be used for hunting rabbits, so chasing them out of their warrens so that the hunters could catch the rabbit. Because their wild ancestor, the wild polecat, is a lot harder to train and utilize for this. So they created this breed to withstand human contact and training, just a breed that would better tolerate being around humans. And in the States, Canada, and Japan, the majority of our ferrets come from massive animal mills. These ferrets are not bred for hunting, but they are bred to be house pets. So these ferrets are bred not only to tolerate ferret-on-ferret companionship, but to actually enjoy it and thrive from it. So in technical terms, the domesticated ferret that comes from these animal mills are social animals. And ferrets that come from reputable breeders all over the world, or breeders that produce polecat hybrids, as they're called. If you were to compare with a mill-bred ferret and a reputably bred ferret, the reputably bred ferret would tend to do better being on its own compared to the mill-bred ferret. There was one time I was interested in a polecat hybrid from a breeder, and I of course had my other ferrets, and the breeder warned me that there would be a possibility that I would have to keep them separate from the other ferrets, and that is one of the reasons why I chose not to go with that. But it is just something to consider if you already have other ferrets. I'll say though, in my educated opinion and with my experience, that the majority of ferrets that come from mills should be given at least one other companion. And some of that is just because of the way that the bulk of them are being treated, especially here in the States. Our care is very, very subpar, just on average compared to other countries. I'd say that most ferrets in the States, because it does seem like there are a lot of educated ferret owners out there, but when compared to the amount of people who are not, the amount of impulse buyers, the amount of children that own ferrets, there's really no comparison. There's just so many of them out there, hence why the animal mills are still producing for pet stores, is because the demand is still so high. I'm not saying I want more ferrets to be subject to this lifestyle, but in a lot of cases, the solo ferret in this environment would much prefer to have a companion alongside them. It does again suck that more ferrets have to live in these circumstances, but it's just one of those things where if the ferrets had a choice, they would most likely choose to have a friend alongside them so they're not facing it alone. But of course, there will always be exceptions to every rule. There are many ferrets out there that come from animal mills that prefer being on their own, and that can be due to a couple different factors. Maybe they had a poor experience with ferrets at another home. Maybe they've just gone many, many years of their life without another ferret friend. There are many different scenarios. And of course, there are many reasons why getting more ferrets may not be feasible for the pet parent. You might not be financially prepared, you might not be emotionally prepared, maybe you just lost a ferret and you're not ready to get another one anytime soon. You might lack the space for more ferrets, and your ferret may prefer solo, like I just mentioned. What exactly is the perfect number of ferrets? And many say 3, and I do have to agree with this. And this is because when one ferret sadly passes away, there isn't a remaining ferret left. And I've seen this a lot with people who have messaged me after one of their ferrets passed away and they have a remaining ferret and they don't know how soon to get another one, if they should get another one. The ferret seems depressed, you know, etc. And if you have 3, obviously that's gonna not be as much of an issue. I do have a friend who says that her ferrets changed drastically in just activity levels and energy when they got a 3rd ferret. And this is because ferrets can have different play styles. So she told me that the 2 ferrets that she had, they weren't really great at playing with each other. They just kind of had different play styles going on. And so when she added a 3rd, which is like a young active female, she really helped bring the boys out of their shells, and she's more of a compatible match for play for both of them, so that really worked out well for her. And there is anecdotal evidence out there that suggests that ferrets have fallen ill or have even passed away due to a broken heart after losing their companion, which is really, really heartbreaking, but I wanted to put that in there. Next, I wanted to talk about some personal stories. So for me, I had Patsu alone for quite a bit before getting Howl, and this was because I think at the time, it's so hard to remember, it feels like forever ago. I think at the time I just wanted to get used to having a ferret and I didn't want to jump right into having 2. But Patsu, I will say, was absolutely miserable, and I didn't realize it until I got Howl, how different he was, how much more of a ferret he was. He had stopped playing with toys with me, and he just kind of slept all the time and didn't really want to be bothered. But once I got Howl, those behaviors subsided pretty much immediately, and it resulted in the sweetest, most playful ferret ever. Kind of taught him how to be a good sibling, how to be a good ferret, and he just changed drastically once I got Howl. Now here's another question. How many ferrets is too many ferrets? Because there are many people that I have seen online with 10 or more ferrets, and it always just baffles me because I couldn't even imagine having double the amount of ferrets that I have right now. But the maximum that I had at one time was 6, and for someone who free roams, it didn't really make that much of a difference. But if I kept them in a cage or even in a single room, like, it would just be the smell, the poop, it would just be way too much. So while free roaming, it's a lot easier to manage their poop because it's kind of like spread out in multiple areas and their oils aren't so concentrated in one sleeping space. But adopting ferrets can be addicting. So easy to just keep adopting these little adorable guys because many of them need homes, especially around the holidays, and sometimes they just fall into your lap like Tanji, Remy, and Riva did for me. I would say though that the maximum totally depends on the person. I do think you really need to be careful going over 5 or 6 just in general for most people, especially if you don't free roam them. And when I say that, obviously everyone should be free roaming their ferret, but I meant like full home access or half home access. I do see many people attempting to rehome 5 to 7 ferrets to go together, and it's nearly impossible to find someone who is willing to take on 5 to 7 more ferrets that all came from the same place at one time. I once kept 4 ferrets to a bedroom at one time, and I feel really bad about it now. I gave them outside access, like to the rest of the home, a couple times a day, but they just were not happy. It was not enough space in my bedroom for them, so really happy that I can give them full apartment access now. They're much happier. You have to figure that many people suggest having at least $1,000 saved per ferret in case of an emergency, and not many can say that they have that for the amount of ferrets they have, especially when you're getting up to 8, 9, 10, 15 ferrets. Now there's usually the option of utilizing something called care credit, and then of course credit cards for vet bills if you have a lot of ferrets, but you don't want that to be your fallback. If you've seen the bill for people just for their annual wellness visits for all their ferrets, it's so much money. And remember, ferrets do have the potential of living a fairly long lifespan compared to other small animals. So picture yourself 5 years down the line? Are you going to be able to care for the same 10, 12 ferrets? Your living spaces be changing? Is there any chance of downsizing? So in summary, what I want you to take from this video is if you have a male-bred ferret, aim to get him or her at least one other companion, but ideally you should have 3. That would be like the ideal number. If you have a reputably bred ferret or a polecat hybrid, they may prefer to be solo. And then of course some male-bred ferrets prefer to be solo. Don't take on more than you can handle. It is really sad to pass up on ferrets that really do need a home badly. Maybe you can help find them a home via fostering or sharing on your media pages. And then some ferrets with rough upbringings may take longer to accept a new ferret companion. I do get a lot of messages from people who the introduction process is just not going as smoothly as they would like, and they're worried that they're gonna have to give a ferret away or give it back to the rescue, etc. A lot of it just takes time. There are some ferrets that I've known in the past who have taken months to adjust to a new ferret, or the ferret that you're bringing in took a few months to adjust. Just give them time, be patient with them, especially if you don't know their history. I hope you guys liked this video and learned a thing or two. I will see you guys in my next video. Do not forget to subscribe, help keep this channel running. Thank you to all of our channel members. You guys are awesome, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye guys.